Well, hello everyone and welcome to what is set to be an absolutely historic evening here as we open up the Super 1 British Esports Championship with a Winter Cup. We've got two races coming up for you with the cadets and the juniors and seniors. It's going to be two races about 15 minutes in length each, and this should be absolutely brilliant. Historic, as we say, first ever Super 1 British Esports Championship. Some of the best karters in the world will be driving here today, and we are set for an absolute perler of an evening. Joshua Anderson here alongside Jake Sanson for this event, and Jake, I'm as excited as you are for this, surely.
Yes, I really am, considering that we've been commentating, or certainly I have been around the British Super 1 Karting Championship grid as their television commentator for the last 6 seasons. It's great to see the virtual world of motor racing at British national karting level getting the Super 1 treatment. It's been a long time coming, this. It's been in development for a couple of years now. The software is good to go. We've got some amazing drivers who are competing in it. We've had some amazing interest from all over the British and world and European karting spectrum. There's set to be quite a few people joining the series as it develops through 2018, but we're here for the first weekend in the championship's history. This is a non-championship event. It is the Winter Cup, and it's taking place, as many karting aficionados will recognise, at the very famous Paul Fletcher International in the heart of Lincolnshire. It's a fantastic race circuit. Any karter who's driven here before will know that this is the Abu Dhabi of British karting circuits. The facilities are spectacular. The work that has been put into the facility over the last 10 years has been astonishing, and having driven there myself in person, it really is a test of what a racing driver can really do.
Yeah, there's some very tight and technical corners here, and of course you've got the crossover as well with that big tightening corner after it, so very difficult, the tightening left after you go under the crossover, and a short bite after you go over it. Some very difficult features on this circuit, and just through watching practice, even some of these brilliant drivers have been slipping up on the difficulty of this circuit, but it should make for some fantastic racing. Of course, we're in an official practice session at the moment, going into qualifying in about 7 minutes time, and then we have the 12-lap race coming up as well. So plenty of action here, even in the first of the two races we have today. Of course, the cadets going first in the slightly slower karts that they have, and then the seniors coming up in the slightly faster ones afterwards, and plenty of good drivers in both classes, Jake.
Absolutely. You look at the talent that's in these cadet classes, and some of them have been race winners in the Super 1 National Championships, both at IAMI and Honda Cadet level. But a lot of the drivers coming in are experiencing professional Super 1 style racing for the very first time. Not all of the drivers in British motorsport quite have the budget yet to compete at Super 1 level. And as a result of that, a lot of the drivers that you'll see tonight have been competing in some of the other national championships, such as LGM, there are like UK series, even some of the club-based series at various circuits around the country, such as Wilton Mill, obviously the local kart club to this place, the Trent Valley Kart Club, various other places up and down the country. Some will be Butmore Park regulars, some will be racers who have competed regularly on some of the other karting circuits around the country. But this is an opportunity for anybody who's got a decent computer-based setup at home, or even those who haven't and want to get used to it, to really get used to the world of sim racing. Because of course we are in an era where sim racing is becoming more and more relevant and more important to the world spectrum of motorsport. You only have to take a look at the fact that just recently one of the premier sim racing categories, the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship, which runs on the very same platform as this, R Factor 2, has managed to find the talented young Dutchman Rudy van Buren, who is now a McLaren Formula 1 simulator driver. That's absolutely no joke. It came from a simulator just like this one, and now he's working for the McLaren Formula 1 team. So it's a great starting point. It's also the first time that a premier karting category of this nature has ever had its own Virtual E series. It comes at a very momentous time for the championship, when the grids for the Super 1 National Championship are at an all-time high. The first round of their championship takes place on April the 7th to 8th, and that's basically what this championship is mirroring. The Wednesday before each official round of the championship will be taking place on the racetrack that each circuit is going to be holding. So obviously this is the Winter Cup, and then 7 days from now we'll have the first round of the official championship, which is actually taking place again on the Paul Fletcher International Circuit, because the first round of Super 1 is taking place there. But you mentioned some great talented names on the grid, and the entry list reads like a who's who of the top young cadet talent, not just at national level but also at club level as well. You've got some amazing talent from the likes of Alfie Briggs, Maxwell Dodds, Josh Erfan, Sandro Ballesteros, Mark Dempsey, Harrison Cullings. Harrison Cullings in the senior category, my apologies. Will McIntyre is one of the cadets in the category we have tonight. We've got Kai Bacchini, Ollie Stevens, Declan Russell. We've also got Luca Benest. Zach Knight, I should say, my apologies. It's another one. I've got some of my entry list confused here. I do apologise. But Jason McCleary in the cadet, Sam Shaw, Ryan Ward, Oscar Teuton as well, Ethan Jeff Hall, James Dutton. There are some great names on this grid, and it's a perfect way to start the Winter Cup in the KartSim Limited Brigade here at the first round of what is soon to be, well, from now on should be christened as SoBEC, which is the abbreviation for the Super 1 British Esports Championships.
Yeah, what a championship it's going to be, as you already see lots of drivers, as you just mentioned, who have got so much talent, and really a turning point for the championship now, having its own Virtual E series, and well, with the rise of esports talent, this is going to be really brilliant to see how these drivers can get on. And of course, the winner of the championships in the junior and senior and all the classes, all the championship winners get prizes as well, don't they, Jay?
And quite an astonishing level of prizes. Yes, I've just been reminding myself of what it is that each of the drivers are actually competing for over the course of the next few weeks and months, and it is absolutely astonishing. I mean, one of the greatest things about the Super 1 karting championships is that they've always been able to provide stepping stones for young drivers to move through, and the esports championship is no different. I mean, if you look at the fact that the cadet championships have got some pretty incredible prizes on offer, you've obviously got registration, entry fees and tyres for each round of the 2019 Super 1 British Championship if you win the virtual championship. Yes, I'm not kidding. If you actually win the virtual championship, you will have all of your entry fees, registration and all tyres paid for to compete in the 2019 Super 1 British Championship, and that's in whatever class you're eligible for by then as well. You'll get a new Tony Kart Neo rolling kart chassis provided for by Strawberry Racing, which is one of the top teams in the championship. They are effectively the McLaren of the Super 1 British Championships. Awning space and team fees for the first round of that championship, again provided by Strawberry Racing, so you'll get an incredible professional team running you. You'll get an IAMI engine from the series and 3 engine rebuilds as well, which is pretty incredible. 5 hours of free online kart simulator coaching, which comes from Elite Driver Management, one of the top companies within the world of motorsport for driver development. It's absolutely incredible. You'll also get free entry into next year's Esports Championship and some products from Fanatec as well. That's only in the Cadet Championship we're talking there, and that's an incredible starting point. In the Junior Championship, you get a simulator training day as well as a Ginetta Junior test drive. Can I just point that out? Absolutely incredible that Ginetta Juniors are going to be contributing that as well. We've got an arrive and drive package for one X30 European karting race, and that's courtesy of the M Sport. Courtesy of M Sport and Fusion, who have both put up that particular prize. Then we have entry into the 2019 Esports Championship again, 5 hours free online kart simulator coaching and elite driver management, and some bits and pieces from Fanatec as well. In the Senior Championship, that's where it gets really interesting, because if you do well in the Senior Championship and go on to win the championship, you will actually get a British FIA Formula 4 test run with Arden Motorsport. Really doesn't get any better than that. As well as entry into the 2019 Esports Championship and simulator products from Fanatec as well. It's absolutely incredible when you consider, you know, this is virtual motor racing, and we've got teams such as Strawberry Racing, Douglas Motorsports in Ginetta Junior, Arden Motorsport in British F4. They want to put things forward for this. This is the sign of the times. It proves that simulator racing is not just going to be done on the Xbox Lives and the PlayStations of the future. This is a genuine step into professional motor racing, and for some of these guys who are struggling to find budgets to put together, they are actually going to get proper prize funds. And it's amazing, Josh, to consider just how far sim racing is coming when we've got the top Premier British Karting Championship getting involved as well.
It does, yeah, and you know, this could really make someone's racing career. We see, as you saw with Rudy Van Buren before, you mentioned him, started out as Dutch National Karting Champion, went into racing, and then lost the funds, and then tried sim racing, got back into it, now he's McLaren simulator driver. One of these drivers could end up in a very similar position. You know, you say they're going to get an F4 test in the Senior Championship without end. You know, they have history in GP2 and the likes. You know, any one of these drivers who could end up champion could end up in the top classes of motorsport. And this could be the starting point. This is really just how big it's become.
It is indeed, and we're here at the Paul Fletcher International Circuit, which is, of course, where many of the top racing drivers from the UK start their motor racing careers. We're just in the closing sections of the practice session at the moment. The times are around about the 107, 108 mark for the leaders. Those times will start to chip away a little
Practice
bit
session is over.
As the night progresses. Obviously, we've only got another 25 minutes or so before the racing actually gets underway. Practice has come to an end. Josh Erfan emerges as the fastest on a 107.645 with a 0.1 second deficit over Sam Shaw. Ethan Jeff Hall is the only other driver within the same second of those times. From Kai Bacchini and Sandro Ballesteros, one of the nominees for the Downforce UK Autism Award. Nathan Marquez is in the top 6 as well, so some very interesting moves there within the top 6. It's a brilliant start, and all 16 drivers to have set laps in practice all have times within the first 8 seconds of each other, which is very good pace so far.
Yeah, very good pace indeed, and well, we'll see come qualifying exactly how people get on, and qualifying, of course, starting very soon, and we'll see just
Again,
how
practice
the lap
session
times
is
are
over.
going to go.
Escape
Obviously,
back
as
to
the
the
qualifying
pits.
session goes through, we'll see more and more rubber on the track, and lap times will get quicker through the session. But you know, with the nature of these cars, you know, it's important you get out and get a good lap time first, because it can be quite difficult around here at PFI.
Yeah, very true. It's a very fast-flowing, very technical circuit, lots of fast sweepers. You've got to really commit to some of these apexes, particularly, you were talking earlier about the underpass, the new underpass-overpass section. That is the most significant change to PF International in the last 6 years. And through turn 3 in particular, you've really got to be able to commit. You have to blip the brake just a tad. If you're really brave, you can keep it flat to the throttle, but you've got to be so precise with that steering wheel. You put a little bit too much apex into the corner, then the whole kart is going to unsettle, and that could cost you 3 or 4 seconds just around that particular section of the course. Plenty of curb can be used in the senior karts and in the junior karts. In the cadets, a lot of curb is actually going to unsettle the karts. As you mentioned, they are smaller. They've got a little bit less centrifugal gravity, so you can use a bit of the curbs, but there are some corners where you really want to get away from them. And a lot of the drivers are going to find this particularly treacherous. For those who are sim racing aficionados, who may look at the times from practice and say, well, there's actually quite a lot of distance between these guys. Let's not forget, you know, this is the Cadet Championship. The drivers here are as young as 8 years old competing in this. And for a lot of these guys, this is their first ever venture into sim racing of any kind, Josh.
Yeah, and it's amazing how they're here, you know, and able to do this. It really does go to show that, you know, people get into race at the young ages. They're getting into this at young age as well. It's going to be a confidence booster as well. And maybe in a couple of years, we'll see some of these guys in the senior championships. You know, this could be, even for these young drivers, the start of something for them. And if anything, they've learned what sim racing's like.
Absolutely, and when you consider how intense the championships are getting at professional level of sim racing, it does really show just how much effort these guys are having to put in to be near the front. So they're working very hard. These guys have obviously got an awful lot of work to come, but they're doing an absolutely magnificent job. You know, it's not easy to be at this level, and they are working incredibly hard.
Yeah, they are working very hard, and it's great to see that. It's great to see the determination and dedication, you know, at this level. I'd argue, expect to be. It's a Super 1 British esports, but, you know, it's really good to see that people are putting this much effort in. And, yeah, the times seem a little bit far apart, as you alluded to, but, you know, that's not representative maybe of what we're going to see in qualifying, as qualifying, in fact, is now about to get underway here, and there's going to be the session getting underway, and we're going to see exactly who is going to take pole for the 12-lap race coming up ahead. And it's quite a short race, actually, Jake, as is the nature of kart races. So pole is going to be especially important.
Yeah, absolutely. You've only got 8 minutes to get your lap times in on the board. The races, as you mentioned, are only 15 minutes in length. So it is very, very difficult to get that
green flag
straight
for
away.
qualifying.
Green flag goes on for qualifying. So the qualifying session begins. And these guys are having to work very hard again in terms of concentration. This is basically a real test of these guys' talents. So we are underway for the qualifying session. I'm just keeping an eye on the drivers as they go out. James Dutton, the 41, is the first one to leave the pits. So he makes his way out onto the circuit, and looks as though he's got Sam Shaw running around with them. It's going to be very important. You're going to see a lot of similarities between the way that real cadet sessions work, in that these guys will actually employ the same sort of tactics. They'll work together to get a decent lap time on the board, which means they'll almost push each other around the circuit a little bit in terms of the aerodynamics and the momentum they work around. They do this from cadet level. They spend a long time just using each other's slipstream, using each other's momentum, working their way around the circuit. One will get a fast lap in, sat behind another, just to do a little bit less work cutting through the air. Then they'll swap positions and they'll do the same thing in reverse. It's really interesting, really fantastic stuff. And it's fast, furious and frenetic stuff. And for those watching this for the first time, you're actually getting a little taste of what it's actually like at Super 1 level.
Yeah, this is what it's like at the top level. And James Dutton actually involved in a bit of a battle, as you rightly say, going to help each other around the track here. So, gets a bit of a slide on, actually. That is going to be his lap. Not quite happening. I think it's going to be Sam Shaw then who's going to be one of the first to set a lap round here. He will set the benchmark for the other cadet drivers as he comes into the left here. As you rightly say, got to commit to that apex, because it's such a fast sweeping corner before you break for the next one and come through again. And then a right hook directly after that. He's a difficult set of corners, and then the run before the next. So Shaw here is going to want to work with people around him to get a good lap, although there's not much chance of that happening. He's just kept the inside lovely there.
Absolutely, it is really tricky. The thing is, you've got to really be careful of those curves, particularly in these karts. That's where it's really going to get to be very difficult. I'm just watching the 42 out on the circuit at the moment, known in the R Factor stream as M66 Elvery, but of course that is Jason McCleary, who's got himself into one of the... he's basically on the back straight. He's had an attempt at a lap, but it's not really gone well. Oh, he just tags Brandon Carr, and Brandon, who has done so well out in the SK USA category in the past, won the Nationals at Las Vegas recently. Brandon Carr doing an amazing job in the latter half of the season, but he just got caught out there on the exit. Real shame to see him strike the barriers. The first lap time comes in though, and it's from Sam Shaw, a 1:08.652 with Jeff Hall within a second of it. James Dutton is 2.6 seconds away. They're going to need to improve if they want to go to near the front. And the lap times are now starting to come in. Oakley Keatley, the rookie champion from last year's Birrell UK Series, 5th position. Sandro Ballesteros pops up into 4th place. Kai Bacchini comes in there into 3rd place, just in behind Ethan Jeff Hall.
Yeah, great lap from Bacchini as well, right behind Jeff Hall. There goes Josh Irfin on pole position, actually, a 1:08.463. So he goes pole now. How much from Jack Younger, who's having a bit of a battle ahead. And again, Younger looking in pretty good form here as well, but great lap from Irfin to go pole there. Other lap times coming in as well. James Dutton obviously 7th. I think Oscar Titan has just gone 11th in all this as well. So lap time starting to come in as the session progresses. Only 3 minutes and 30 left to go as well, which shows you how short this qualifying is and how important it is to get a lap straight in. Jack Younger looking to get a lap in in a couple of seconds' time as he brakes for this right, followed by a left. Oh, there goes a 41 to the outside there, but he holds his line, and this is probably not going to be the best of laps from the younger. He's a couple of excursions, but he's going to come across the start-finish now, and he is going to set a lap time of 1 minute 14, so he goes into 10th place.
So Sam Shaw currently leading the way. Josh Erfin has got to within 0.4 of a second of his time. Kai Bacchini in third from Ethan Jeff Hall, Sandra Ballesteros, Oakley Keatley, James Dutton, Nathan Marquez, Mark Dempsey, then Jag Younger. Up into the top 5 comes McCleary. So McCleary goes 5th position. Josh Erfin goes to the top now on a 1:07.608. That's a really good lap, and a good run from Jason McCleary there as well to go 5th. Just in there in front of Sandra Ballesteros. He was going to get another fast lap in there, but he just caught the curb on the exit of 2. That quick right flick, left flick under the bridge. And that's the newest section of the circuit. It's still very recent to Paul Fletcher International, that flyover section. I can still remember commentating on it when it wasn't there back in 2012. So it's really made this the premier category circuit for British motor racing. A lot of the European and World Championships come here. A lot of people, of course, remember the most recent running of the World Championships at CIK FIA level here at PF International. Running at Kristianstad later this year, but still PF International a favourite circuit for those championships. It won't be long before they return. Let's have a look at how the top 6 is still doing. Well, James Dutton's just crept into that top 6 time and then displaced straight away as McCleary has dropped to 6th. Erfin is first from Shaw, Jeff Hall, Bacchini, Ballesteros. Keatley now comes up to 6th place from McCleary, Dutton, Toyton, Marquez, Dempsey, Younger. Alfie Briggs in 13th, then Brandon Carr, Ryan Ward and Ollie Stevens. The entire field covered by 11 seconds, but I'm still waiting to see what some of these guys towards the tail end can do in the last minute and a half or so. Some of them have not quite got their setups together. Alfie Briggs, I'm surprised he's in 13th position. I expected him to be one of the drivers challenging for pole position. Alfie is very, very good on his simulators, as well as a terrific kart racer. He races a lot in the Northamptonshire area, so he's a regular at Wilton Mill and Shennington. Very talented racing driver. Spends a lot of his time hanging out with Ella Stevens, who's the Birrell Art UK Series rookie champion, and is tempted to have a go at this, actually. I was speaking to her about it. Said, do you fancy doing the virtual version? She said, if you give me a sim, Jake, I'll do it. So I may have to loan her mine at some point in the season. So she's getting very interested in the idea. We're getting into the last 45 seconds or so of the session. Erfin still from Shaw, Jeff Hall, Bacchini, Ballesteros, Keatley, McCleary in 7th place from Dutton, Toyton, and rounding up the top 10 now is Ollie Stevens, who's come up on a 1:11.153.
I have to say this looks like a very, very, very solid lap from Sam Shaw at the moment, and he's not really made any mistakes. He's pushing that car to its absolute limits. I think this is going to be near Erfin's time here. I want to keep an eye on Shaw because he is looking in hot form on this lap as the session comes to a close. Obviously, Jeff Hall, Bacchini, Ballesteros as well wants to keep eyes on, but Shaw coming around the final couple of corners. Really got to think this is his last chance of pole here.
Nathan Marquez has just parked it, having broken into the top 10. Not bad at all, a 1:10.6. Trying to re-emerge, but he's not quite going to have enough time to start another lap. The qualifying session comes to an end. Drivers will have to finish their lap. Sam Shaw, can he break into pole position? Yes, he does. Look at that, 0.02 of a second. Shaw has pipped Josh Erfin. That is fantastic. And Sam Shaw grabs the pole position lap. But the question is, what is Josh Erfin going to do on his flying lap? Josh Erfin in the Fusion Motorsport colours. He races with the team, of course, in the Professional Super 1 British Championships itself. Now he's coming out. Let's see, can Josh Erfin go to the top of the timesheets? He's in the final turn. No curb at all on the inside. Plenty of grip on the exit. This could be a fast lap from Erfin. Is he going to go to the top? No, not an improvement. So 0.02 of a second covers it. Shaw in front of Josh Erfin by 0.02 of a second. What an amazing start to SoBEC, with Shaw and Erfin on the front row. Jeff Hall second from Kai Bacchini, James Dutton, Sandra Ballesteros, Oakley Keatley, Jason McCleary, Nathan Marquez, Oscar Toyton, then Stevens, Ward, Younger, Briggs, Dempsey and Carr. An amazing qualifying there.
I thought Shaw's lap looked good. I really did. And I just thought it was going to be near, and it was near by 0.02. That is just quite sensational from Sam Shaw. Props to Josh Erfin, though. That was the pole time for pretty much most of the session, so he can be proud of that, even though he will be starting second. Jeff Hall, Bacchini, Dutton, Ballesteros behind, all within, you know, a few seconds as well. That is very impressive too, and it just goes to show there's hardly any margin for error here in these cars. You make one mistake, you're not going to be getting pole position.
That's very true. It's always very close at cadet level, and I have a feeling that over the course of the 2018 championship, as these guys get more track time on the sim, get more development time, they will be going faster and faster, and it will get closer and closer in a similar story to the way that the junior and senior classes are going to be. They're going to be combined onto one grid for the first part of the season due to the entry list. But it's a good start, you know, considering we're here for the Winter Cup. We've got 16 cadets out there, all of whom probably are doing professional quality sim racing at national level for the very first time. And it's a great stepping stone. You know, they can use this as a starting block to start looking at some of the other professional sim racing championships. And as you said, and we mentioned the prizes earlier, to boost their chances of going higher up the Super 1 grid with all those fantastic prizes that are on offer. So what happens now? Well, we have a slight pause in proceedings, and then we will get going again. We're not leaving the stream because there's going to be a couple of minutes of quick pause as the young drivers take a rest. They obviously have to in between sessions because they're concentrating very hard indeed. Let's not forget these kids are 8, 9, 10 years of age in some cases. So they have to work very hard, but they also have to be very focused. They have to make sure that their energy levels are high for doing this. Any person who's a professional sim racer will know this is actually very physically exerting, a lot more than people realise it. The uneducated will look at there and say, well, you're just sitting in a sim and actually turning a wheel. It's not that hard. But Josh, you and I can vouch for the fact it is quite difficult, especially if you're 8, 9 or 10.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I could barely keep track of what time it was when I was 8. Yeah, these guys are driving karts. It's amazing. And yeah, I mean, I wish I had this opportunity when I was 8. I would have loved to have taken it up. And yeah, but it's brilliant to see these, and as you rightly say, it is very, very physically exerting. I think some of the people watching know that. Some of these professional sim drivers we actually have watching the stream, and it's great to have them watching. You know, this is the feature that they are watching, and you know, we all know just how physically exerting it is. Like, I've done 2-hour races before, and my arms and legs have just been aching after it. So, you know, this is intense karting. It's only 12 laps, 15 minutes. But it's just the rate at which you're having to process things. That's what gets you. It's just, with karts especially, having done karting a few times in my life, in real life as well, nothing can prepare you for the directness of it all. I mean, they have no rear suspension. These karts just have front suspension. It's just a solid axle on the back. You're constantly reacting to things, changing things, and trying to process it all in your head. And I'm just not good enough. And, you know, it's so physically exerting. Like, I've come out of karting sessions and I just wanted to collapse. It's that much so, and sim racing's not that much different. It really does take a lot out of you.
So we'll talk a little bit about now the starting procedure. Unlike in the professional world of Super 1 British Karting Championships, all of the grids in this series are standing starts. So this is actually going to be a very tricky new test for a lot of the drivers. Some of the cadets, of course, who have done this before at Super 1 level are used to standing starts. In 1 or 2 of the classes in the past, we have switched to standing starts. But the common procedure in British National Karting is a rolling start procedure. So this is going to be a real test of their abilities. They have to focus on the lights. They have to be concentrated. Jump starts are penalized. They have to be very focused at this point. This is going to be a real test of concentration. So now the drivers are getting the 30-second call up to the grid. They are being put in their positions on the starting grid, and this is going to be pretty quick how we get going. So the drivers are into position,
race,
and it is going to be straight in from the start. So they're not allowed to jump the start. They've got to be very focused and prepared, and in 10 seconds time the start procedure will kick off. Sam Shaw on pole position, from Josh Erfin in second, Ethan Jeff Hall, James Dutton, Sandra Ballesteros, Oakley Keatley, Jason McCleary from Marquez, Toyton, Stevens, Ward, Younger, Briggs, Dempsey and Carr. We get ready for the starts. And for the first time in SoBEC, we are away, and it's a cracking start from Josh Erfin. It looks as though he's going to get slightly further in front of Shaw. Looks like a pretty clean getaway thus far as the drivers knit their way through the first couple of corners. A little bit of curb used as Ethan Jeff Hall tries to make the move onto the inside line and take an early start. Straight in comes Kai Bacchini, and he's tagged Ethan Jeff Hall into a spin. So Jeff Hall has gone round and around, unfortunately. Looks as though Alfie Briggs is in some trouble at the start as well. And Marquez has gone around. Marquez has spun down the order. Dempsey and Brandon Carr getting away with it as well. But it looks as though other than that, it's all pretty much even Steven as Toyton misses his braking. Toyton misses his braking completely. And it looks as though Jack Younger's gone straight on as well. So difficulties here for the youngsters to get the concentration levels up. And now Ollie Stevens and Oscar Toyton are having a little bit of a chaotic start to proceedings as well. And more trouble, more carnage as Brandon Carr goes in there with Stevens at the front. Josh Erfin and Sam Shaw are on their way, and moving up to third place, that is now Jason McCleary. So Jason McCleary to third, James Dutton is fourth, Oakley Keatley runs wide, and that's allowed Ballesteros to come through, and Kai Bacchini's coming straight into the pits from 7th position. Dempsey's holding off Ryan Ward up at the final couple of turns, but Ward goes through. So Josh Erfin leads with Sam Shaw right behind him at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic start from Shaw and Erfin here. They've just gotten straight on with it, straight into a battle with each other on this first lap. Everyone else seems to have had a couple of problems, and yeah, Erfin and Shaw, the real winners. These two are going to be absolutely at it for the next 11 laps of this race. I can guarantee you that. They are not going to let each other up at all. So Oakley Keatley's making a nice little recovery here, chasing down Ballesteros here. And I reckon this could be a battle as well, because even though Keatley's got to damage that front bumper, there is no front bumper in that kart. You've got to remember that these are not exactly going to be that affected by it, and Keatley could still go for this position.
Pit stops for repairs for several drivers. Brandon Carr, Ethan Jeff Hall, Nathan Marquez, Jack Younger and Oleg Stevens all in the pits to get their karts repaired. Interestingly, Alfie Briggs was the only one who looked to jump the start. He took his penalty, drive through in the pits straight away. But he's come out in 11th position, so Alfie Briggs still actually has good potential. If the other guys in front of him fall off and Alfie Briggs just keeps his cool, he may find himself in the top 10 here without any hesitation at all. Erfin versus Shaw. This is where the battle for the victory is going to come, and Shaw pops his nose out. He's going to slot straight back in. This is normal procedure in karting. You just have a little look at Erfin. He's not going to go for the move. It's too early yet. These two are going to build a gap to Jason McCleary in 3rd position. They'll stretch out their advantage. They'll work together to get away. And then with 2 laps to go, that's when they're really going to start pushing on. We're on lap 3 of 12. And this is where the battle for the victory is going to be won and lost here. It's up to Jason McCleary to start catching up.
Oh, Mark Dempsey seems to have had a bit of another collision as well. He's gone round just before the crossover, and he really seems to be struggling a bit there. He was going a bit slow before, I think, but just struggling to find his feet in this opening race here. And well, it's not a championship race. He doesn't have to worry about points applications, but you know, it's going to be a bit of a hard lesson, but I'm sure that he is going to learn from this, even if he doesn't get the best finishing position as well. Yeah. I'm watching Kai Bacchini here as well, who's going for the Ryan Ward, and he's gotten through his Kai. Great move there, brilliantly executed. And into 7th goes Bacchini, though. Ward won't be very pleased about that. Want to try and get the position back.
Well, Jeff Hall and Brandon Carr, Saul's front wings, are battling away for position, 12th and 13th. Interesting you mentioned Mark Dempsey falling away there, because that's promoted Alfie Briggs into the top 10. What did we say? Briggs is going to try and move his way further forward. Now, Sandro Ballesteros running in 4th place in front of Oakley Keatley. Then James Dutton is in 6th. He's got a nose cone missing there, or certainly he's got his front wing missing, I should say. Kai Bacchini likewise. Ryan Ward has kept his car pretty much intact. Toyton's missing his front wing. Alfie Briggs is still pretty much with a perfect car. Now, interestingly from Alfie, it looked to me as though he realised he'd jumped the start. He held back and let the carnage ensue in front of him. See, Alfie's a very intelligent young driver for his age. He knows how to play the long game. Now, a drive-through penalty has been handed to Kai Bacchini. I don't know if he's taken it or not yet, but I'm assuming that is for jumping the start. But I think Alfie Briggs knew he was going to get one, decided to take the drive-through penalty anyway. He decided to hang back away from the carnage and the chaos of things, and he has actually put himself into a very solid position. So it's smart thinking from Alfie Briggs that should see him in the top 10 by the finish line. Meanwhile, Sam Shaw is slowly starting to fall away a little bit from Josh Erfin. Erfin out in front of Shaw, then McCleary in 3rd place, Ballesteros, Keatley, Dutton, Bacchini, Ward, Toyton and Briggs. Now I'm going to keep an eye on Kai Bacchini. I'm not sure whether he's served that drive-through penalty or not. I think he might have done actually. Although it was issued to him, because he now has gone through at the end of lap 4. So if he hasn't done it by now, he'll have to do it on this lap.
They're going to have to serve that penalty or else they'll be disqualified. Nobody wants that way to start your Super Run British Esports season, even if it is just a test race, a shakedown. Nobody wants to start like that, so he's going to want to come in and serve that penalty, and I'm sure he will. But yeah, Shaw and Erfin, Erfin is just getting away a little bit here at this point, and action behind dying down just a little bit, but these two still going at it, and Shaw is just, he's within a second of Erfin still, but he is just starting to drop off a bit. Maybe he exerted the tyres a bit too early and maybe just cooked them a bit, and Erfin's are in better condition temperature wise. Maybe that's why he's able to pull away just a little bit here and start to drop the hammer on Shaw, who is going to have to find something if he wants to catch back up here.
We've got lots of people watching along on the stream, which is great news. Major Hobbit says, these lads at the front are more consistent than I've ever been. You've got to remember, again, guys, that these are actually working very hard indeed as Brandon Carr very nearly trips up the leaders as they're lapping him. And look what that's done. Sam Shaw is now right back on the edge of Josh Erfan. This is going to be interesting as Erfan goes a little bit far over the apron. Shaw is now going to breathe down his neck. But these guys have to be consistent. In cadet races, a lot of this at British national level is basically working in unison for 98% of the race. And it's only in the last 2 laps when you really start to get chaotic in those last couple of laps. So for these 2 guys, Erfan and Shaw, consistency is the name of the game at cadet level. You've just got to stretch out that advantage, get away from the rest of the pack, and look at the fact they have actually done that. 11.2 seconds now ahead of Jason McCleary. This is exactly what we were talking about. At British National Cadet level, right from the word go, these guys are taught to work in unison, work in packs. That's how you push away from the rest of the field. Then you start battling each other in the last 2 laps when you've got plenty of time to do it. Doesn't matter so much if you've got 12, 13, 14 seconds on the rest of the field. But you have to get there. You have to get that gap up in the first place. Brandon Carr has made his way into the pits. Having obviously very nearly tripped up the leaders. He had some damage that he needed to sort out, so he's come into the pits.
Oh, here comes Shaw!
Here goes Shaw! Shaw on the inside! Now that's a perfect use of the line there on the exit of that underpass section. He just went for broke, took the gamble. Josh Erfan was not quite prepared for it, and Sam Shaw dives up the inside. Sweet move, textbook.
All alliances are temporary in karting, and there goes Shaw going straight ahead. Erfan now is going to want to try and get back through again, and he's not going to be quite pleased about the fact Shaw's gone for it that soon. He's probably got caught napping there, but he is going to have to catch up. But now we're going to see what Josh Erfan can do here, because he's been in the lead all this race. This is the first time he's been chasing someone.
Well, there's problems going on further back for Jason McCleary, who's actually losing time to Sandro Ballesteros as well. Ballesteros is reeling him in. The 19 is getting very close indeed to within a second now of Jason McCleary, who's having to work a little bit harder to get away on the 42. And this is going to make things trickier for him as he starts to edge away. But Sandro Ballesteros is keeping him honest. Meanwhile, we've got Oakley Keatley. They're in 5th position now. He seems to have lost his front wing. I'm not quite sure where he's done that. Kai Bacchini, we know he's already lost his. I think he has already taken his drive-through penalty, hence why he's now still running there in 6th position. The next close battle on track is going to be James Dutton and Ryan Ward. They're scrapping away over 7th position, and that's going to get quite tasty. Ryan Ward knows how to make a good overtake here.
Yeah, Ward knows how to get a good overtake done, and we'll see if he can get a good overtake done here, and see if he can get through on Dutton here as he comes into the crossover once again. Is he going to go for it? I don't think he's close enough, to be honest. I think he's going to have to hope Dutton goes too far to the outside and then makes a mess of this left-hander, which he's not going to do. So Ward is going to have to wait his turn and try and get the advantage elsewhere on track, or trip Ward up, or hope Ward, or trip Dutton up and see if something happens. It's going to be tough for him, but he could do it.
Back at the front, Josh Erfan is caught right up to Shaw as they're on the far side of the circuit, and Josh Erfan is now reeling in Shaw. There is only a 1/10 of a second between them at the end of the last split, so this is going to get very interesting. And see if they continue to battle away. Oh, good defensive line there from Shaw. He had to make Josh Erfan really work for the inside line. They're so good at this at cadet level. Erfan is going to go for it on the inside, and they bang wheels. And Erfan slots back in behind Shaw. That's very well read by Josh Erfan. He knew that that was coming. As Shaw turned in, he thought he had the ability to commit to the inside line. They banged wheels. They both got sideways. They both controlled it very well indeed. And they managed. I think that's going to go unpunished. They're going to escape a penalty from that one. Josh Erfan slotting back in and dropping back a little from Sam Shaw. Sensible thinking. And now he's got another chance to go for him with 4 to go.
Yeah, 4 to go. I mean, with the advantage of these as well, the advantage of this being esports, you can see exactly what the driver see. We went on board with Josh Erfan. He's done exactly what he saw, how he read the situation and how it ended up. That's exactly how he saw it. And well, that's the advantage of that. You can really put yourself in their shoes and
hang on, they've got a battle in front of them now. This is going to get really tricky.
Oh,
is there going to be? Oh no! Dempsey has cut across on Erfan. Dempsey has cut across on Erfan, and that has almost certainly ruined his chances of taking the victory here. That is disastrous from his point of view. So Erfan has lost a lot of ground now to Sam Shaw. He's got damage to his front nose cone. Shaw is now 2.7 up the road. This is disastrous.
Yeah, it just looked to me like Erfan got cut across on and then went off and then came across him again. That's pushed him back now, and short of a minor miracle, I think he's probably not going to be able to make that gap up. And Sam Shaw's pretty much got a free ride till the end here Although, well, there is a saying there's no such thing as a free ride. Sam Shaw's almost got the effective equivalent of that. But someone who hasn't is Sandro Ballesteros. He's still got to catch and pass the car ahead.
Yeah, and there's not much between them. He's now less than a second behind Jason McCleary. So McCleary there in third position is going to have to soak up all of this pressure and hope that Ballesteros is not going to find a way through. Now, Shaw has got a lead of about 4 seconds on Josh Erfin as a result of that little trip up from Dempsey. But Shaw has still got to focus very hard here because he's got 2 and a bit laps to go as he comes out of the final 2 corners. 2 laps to go as he comes across the line. There is more traffic up the road, so he's now got to watch his back because exactly the same thing could happen to him as happened to Josh Erfin. So he cannot afford to let the confidence of this situation be out in front. But Shaw is very wise. He knows how to get this done. He knows that this is a very long race for a cadet driver at sim racing level. We've got 2 laps to go. They've done 10 already. This is where you start to tire. This is where you start to crack and make mistakes. So he's got to be very focused on that. Meanwhile, Sandro Ballesteros can see Jason McCleary in his sights, and he knows he's got a good opportunity to go for him now.
Yeah, Ballesteros has a serious chance here. Back on the outside. To the outside he goes, nearly got him I think, but not quite there. So Sandro's chance is going to come if mistakes are made, or again if he can just have the pace to catch up, and he's not going to be able to rest now, unlike Sam Shaw, who I guess can just back off just a little bit and save his energy for these last couple of laps. But Ballesteros is going to have no such luxury. He's got to keep on it until the end.
So with McCleary still resisting the pressure, they've got Dempsey to get past now. Now, if I'm McCleary, I've got to try and get past him quickly, but there's no guarantee he's going to be able to make that switch done early. He gets past Dempsey. Now, Sandro's got to be careful here, and well done to Dempsey. He stays out of the way. So he's obviously learned from that little error on Josh Erfin. He lets both McCleary and Sandro Ballesteros go on. Meanwhile, up in front, Sam Shaw with a 5-second advantage on Josh Erfin has gone into the final lap. The first ever SoBEC Winter Cup is going to come to an end, Josh, with Sam Shaw sitting at the top of the tree if he keeps this up.
Yeah, barring a minor disaster, this is going to be Shaw's to win here, and he is going to kick off his season in perfect fashion, winning the first race here in the Winter Cup. That's going to set him up beautifully for the rest of the season. I see Kitley and a bit of a chop and change going on in the middle of the field. They are still battling it out here.
Oh, there's been a contact. Pacini and Keatley on the very last lap, and Ryan Ward is going to pick up the pieces of that. 6th position is going to go to him, but out in front, Sam Shaw is going to cruise round the final 4 turns of the lap and bring this home to get the SoBEC Winter Cup of 2018. It's a perfect start to his virtual Super 1 season out of the final turn, and Sam Shaw crosses the line. He wins the 2018 SoBEC Winter Cup at cadet level. He is the Cadet SoBEC Winter Cup champion here at PF International. Fantastic work from Sam Shaw. And Josh Erfin coming across the line in 2nd place. McCleary is just going to hang on in front of Sandro Ballesteros. Or is he? Because Sandro's pushing him right to the line. One final mistake from McCleary and it will be job done. But no, McCleary is going to hang on. One more lap and it might have been different. But Jason McCleary is 3rd in front of Sandro Ballesteros. Oakley Keatley is going to come through in 5th. Ryan Ward is going to pick up a top 6 position just by hanging on in there. Great work from him as Oakley Keatley comes home despite a broken wing and comes through in 5th position. Ryan Ward comes through in 6th place. Kai Bacchini in 7th place. James Dutton is going to come through. Oh, hang on a moment. It looks like there's been a slight change to my procedure there. I'm not quite sure, but Ryan Ward is now showing up in 7th place. Then it's James Dutton racing. Ethan Jeff Hall is going to come through in 8th place by the look of it. I think Kai Bacchini has actually ended up retiring to just before the line there, so he's going to drop to 12th place. So problems for Kai Bacchini right at the end, but James Dutton 7th, Ethan Jeff Hall is 8th from Alfie Briggs and Mark Dempsey, who classifies as 10th, in front of Nathan Marquez, Jack Younger, Oscar Toyton, Kai Bacchini, Brandon Carr and Ollie Stevens. Eventful, Josh, but a worthy winner in Sam Shaw.
Yeah, Erfin pushed him all the way until that incident, and well, for him it's going to be a case of what could have been, but Sam Shaw with the immediate bragging rights here in the Super 1 British Esports Championship. He can lay claim to that title of he's going to lay title claim to Cadet Winter Cup champion, and that is something he can be very proud of.
Fantastic work, and for those of you asking on the stream, I hope there's going to be junior and senior X30 races. Well, there certainly is over the course of the season, and there is one tonight with junior and senior X30 drivers combined into the same grid just to give us a little bit of a warm-up for the season ahead. We are going to get, hopefully, a few more drivers competing in both junior and senior categories so that we can have 3 races over the course of the season. We are combining junior and senior into one grid just as a starting point, just to demonstrate the procedures in 2018. But this is, of course, the first time of asking that we've ever done Super 1's British Esports Championship. And as a first race, that was pretty entertaining stuff and a good drive there
so race
from
is
Sam
over.
Shaw.
Cadets, you may now leave the server.
The race is over and Sam Shaw wins from Josh Erfan and Jason McCleary. That is your top 3. And fantastic stuff. They have really well and truly earned that. And a fantastic race. We're getting ourselves ready for the Junior and Senior X30 Challenge, which will be kick-starting, looking at my watch, in just a few minutes, Josh.
Yep, no rest for the wicked, and it's been some wicked racing here, so there's no rest until the next lot, until the juniors and seniors get in. This is going to be, if you thought these karts were quick, the juniors and seniors are even quicker. The X30s, bigger and better and faster, and we are going to be seeing lap times close to 1 minute, if not under.
Yes, indeed. Well, to give you an idea, I mean, this is a benchmark that all of the drivers have now got to shoot for. I was mucking about in this a little while ago on PF International in the Senior X30 kart, and my lap time was a 59.81. So that is what all of the drivers here on the grid. Now, incidentally, I can't actually remember if that's anywhere near competitive in Senior X30. Somebody's got to try and come on and tell me. I need to get Lando Norris on the phone. Lando, is 59.8 competitive in Senior X30 or not? I haven't got a clue. In fact, he could actually enter the championship if he wanted to, because back at the Autosport show in January, KartSim Limited, we ran a competition to give away the software and a free season pass to the championship. And Lando Norris, God bless him, he won the competition by setting the fastest lap. So who knows, Josh, next week we may even get Lando Norris showing up.
Maybe, who knows? And that would be quite something to commentate on indeed if it did. And, well, I would very much look forward to that if that was the case. See if he can stick it with these British Esports Championship full-timers.
There's your confirmation of the cadet standings of the Winter Cup. Sam Shaw winning from Josh Erfan, Jason McLean, and then Sandra Ballesteros and Oakley Keatley. So just to explain a little bit more about what this is for drivers who are watching it for the first time, and people certainly watching on the stream for the first time. If you've only just tuned in or have been watching for a little while and are a little bit perplexed, what are we doing here? Well, for those who are interested in motor racing, obviously anybody who wants to get to Formula 1 level has to go through the motions of karting. And in Great Britain, the national championship is the Super 1 British Karting Championships, with various classes running at Cadet, Minimax, X30, and various other levels for cadets, juniors, and senior level karters. For the adults, all the way down to the kids who are going to be the next Lewis Hamiltons and Jenson Buttons. And incidentally, of course, both Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button have won the Super 1 British Karting Championship at various levels through their career, both as cadet champions, I do believe. Lewis Hamilton back in 1995, and Jenson Button, I'd like to say he won the title in 91, although I'm sure somebody who's got more Super 1 knowledge than me is going to correct me on that one. But juniors and seniors are coming up next. For Hans Dont, who has been watching the stream, saying, can someone give me a quick update on what, who, why, how, where I am watching? Got linked, don't know what this is. Well, this is the first ever running of the Super 1 British Esports Championship, or SoBEC, if you're going to use a hashtag, and the short form version. It is the virtual equivalent of the Super 1 British Karting Championships. The champion of this at cadet level will get a free entry into the genuine Super 1 British Karting Championships next year. The junior champion will get a test run in the Ginetta Junior Championship with Douglas Motorsport, and the senior X30 champion will get a test in an FIA Formula 4 car with Arden Motorsport. I hear you looking at going, really? Can I enter? Well, you can still enter for specific rounds. The championship itself is kickstarting next week at PF International. It is going to be running year to year, so don't worry. It runs via the KartSim Facebook page. You have to go on in there and then, of course, purchase the KartSim software, which bolts onto rFactor 2. So if you already have rFactor 2, that's a very good start. The retail price for this is £399.99. You're looking at that thinking, that's incredibly expensive. But what you're actually getting for the money you're paying is a genuine replica of British kart racing. And not only that, but have you just heard what the prizes are? For the young cadet, it is a full trip into the British National Championship next year at cadet level. For the junior, it's a test in a Douglas Motorsport Ginetta Junior. And for a senior X30, no matter what your age, by the way, it is going to be an FIA Formula 4 test run with Arden Motorsport for 400 quid. That is pretty darn cheap. And sim racers all up and down Great Britain are going to like those odds, particularly those who are very talented. And that's basically what we're doing all the way through this particular season. And when the championship runs, well, it basically runs the Wednesday before the British Super 1 Karting Championship runs. Now, you can look at the calendar for the National Super 1 Karting Championships, which are on super1series.com. But we can also give you a full calendar of when the Super 1 British Esports Championship is running through the year. The first official round of the championship is this time, next Wednesday, the 4th of April, running on the same circuit at PF International. Then we wait 3 weeks before this next round of the championship on Wednesday the 25th. They're all the Wednesday before the actual race meetings, by the way. But that is running at Wilton Mill. Round 3 runs on Wednesday, the 9th of May, up at the Lark Hall circuit up in Scotland, famous for christening the careers of the likes of Dario Franchitti, Alan McNish, Paul de Resta and David Coulthard, to name just a few. Wednesday, the 13th of June, is the 4th round of the championship at Rowra in Cumbria. Then we go to the 5th round of the championship on Wednesday, the 18th of July at the Monza of British karting, Shennington. All those fast, long straights. We're going to get a lot of slipstreaming there, that's for definite. Then we go to the most picturesque circuit on the calendar for round 6 on Wednesday, the 5th of September. That is the Spa-Francorchamps of British karting, Glanigorse in the heart of Wales. It's only an hour from my house. I love going there. It's a beautiful, beautiful circuit, and really, really good racing will happen there. And then the final round, the 7th round of the Super 1 British Esports Championship, will take place back here at Paul Fletcher International once again in Lincolnshire on Wednesday the 25th of September. You get a practice session of 15 minutes, a qualifying of 8 minutes, a breather in between, and then a 15-minute sprint for the finish line. It doesn't sound like much. You're only competing for 45 minutes each time, but you can have the sim at home, practice as much as you want. There are servers running all the way through the week as well for you to test drive, and that's no extra charge. You can even have your own liveries created so that you can promote your own brands over the course of the season, which a lot of people obviously want to do when they go into karting but can't necessarily afford to do it. It sounds like a high price on the face of things, Josh, but what you're getting for that money is completely invaluable.
Yeah, you're getting a life-changing opportunity potentially if you win the Senior Championship, as we say, to drive the Formula 4, even a dinner at a junior chance. You know, these are chances that some people are never going to have in their life. So if you come into this and you win, you could come out with something quite incredible, really. So potentially life-changing, as I say. Yeah, it's a pretty steep entry fee, but the prizes are incredible.
Absolutely. You really do get what you pay for, and it's not just the winners that get opportunity, you also get exposure. This is something that you can sell to your sponsors and your clients. Let's not forget, sim racing really is the be-all and end-all at the moment. It is where it's happening in the world of motor racing, and using this very same platform, rFactor 2, for those who've only just joined us, we talked about this earlier on, but you really can get your life changed as a result of sim racing. You've only got to look at Jan Mardenborough, who came through the Gran Turismo Academy, is now racing in sports cars for Nissan out in Japan, and has competed all over the world, including GP3 and the Le Mans 24 Hours, of course. And you and I both know, Josh, the other sim racing championship that we commentate on, which we're actually commentating on tomorrow night, ironically enough, is the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship, the F1 of esports, if you like, on rFactor 2. And the champion of that last year was the Dutchman Rudy van Buren, who now works as a McLaren Formula 1 simulator driver, as teammate to Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso. It's incredible what sim racing is doing to young people's lives right now.
To you guys.
Yeah, I came through the world's fastest gamer competition as well, did Van Buren. So, you know, he's come really far, and you know, I commented on him very well, and I'm proud that he's gone and won it and got this opportunity. But it really just goes to show what you can do.
So after each session, there will be a 3-minute break,
and we've got some very incredible drivers on this grid here tonight. I mean, obviously, we've got karters who want to do extra sim racing. They're very good at their craft, these guys. But just to give you a couple of names that are competing on tonight's grid, just to spice things up a little bit, those who are interested in their karting will know some of these names already coming in. On tonight's grid, we've got Dexter Patterson, who is a cadet champion several times over in Britain and in club level as well, the Scottish talent. We've also got Harrison Scott, double McLaren Autosport Young Driver nominee. Yes, Harrison Scott is in the room, the European Formula 3 Open champion from 2017. He's in the room tonight. He wants to give this a go. We've got great talents from all up and down the ranks of British and European karting. We've got the likes of Lucas Ellingham, we've got JP Sleater, we've got James Lowther, we've got Harrison Collins, we've got Kilner,
serve
Brandon
any
Williams.
penalties.
We've even got Zach Meekin, who only a couple of days ago touched down back
So
in
in
the UK,
around
having
3
competed at
minutes, we're going
Salisbury
to
in
restart the
France,
weekend,
the first
and
round of
you
the
get
IARMY
15
X30
minutes of
European
practice.
Series. So that's the level that people are taking this sim. This is not just a game with a steering wheel in front of you. This is genuine preparation for your genuine motor racing career.
Yeah, this is genuinely where it could start for these drivers and teams, and, you know, really is an opportunity that is not going to be wasted by any of them, I'm sure. I mean, some of the best, as you say, some champions in this grid, really a chance to test themselves against the very best.
Mike Wazowski on the YouTube stream just correcting me as well and reminding me that Dexter Patterson was indeed the world champion in kart racing. Very good point. Thank you for that, Mike. Yes, Dexter Patterson comes to this sim as the world champion of karting in his particular category. So, you know, everybody who has looked at this and has had a go at it, particularly at the Autosport show in January when it was set up at the Super One stand in the corner of the Autosport show, drivers having a look at it. We had genuine people coming along and having a look at it, and were genuinely impressed. So many karters, so many people came and had a look at it, including a young man called Lando Norris, who came along and had a look at it on the Saturday and the Sunday when he was at the Autosport show. And the cheeky little tyke managed to get onto the sim and set the genuine fastest lap of the PF International Circuit over the course of the weekend. I mean, he's done more laps around there in real life than I ever will on foot or in a go-kart in my lifetime. But he managed to set the fastest lap in the sim, and that means he now has a copy of the software himself and a free entry to the Senior X30 Championship of SoBEC. So if you get on the grid this year, you may well be racing against Lando Norris. You never know.
Yeah, perhaps you will. And yeah, going to be interesting to see how this goes for him if he decides to join. And, well, be a real test for these drivers, won't it? As someone like him on the grid.
Well, absolutely, and that's a good point as well, because Lando Norris is actually very into his sim racing. He looked at this, had decided he wanted to have a go, and we were listening to some of his comments as he was driving around and getting out of it, and he was talking to the man behind KartSim Limited, Tony Irfan, and actually saying, I can't believe how realistic it is, and if anybody knows whether a KartSim is going to be realistic or not, it's going to be him, isn't it? So it's fantastic when you consider just how much hard work these guys are going to do over the course of a season, that Lando Norris has tested it and said, yeah, it feels pretty much like the real thing. The only simulation, having tested it myself as well, the only simulation you really don't get as a competitor in this class is that you just don't get that feeling in your backside, as it were. You know, kart racers always live on that instinct just underneath your bum. That's how you kind of feed your way through the corners. That's how you throw your weight around. You don't quite get that sensation. What you do get, however, with this is the concentration element, the focus, the precision, the discipline, if you like. That's what these guys are learning. And it's a difficult one, Josh, because it's very, very easy to take this at face value. But if you're genuinely focused and genuinely determined, you can actually take this into the real world of racing and be a lot faster as a result.
You could, yeah. So these guys are going to learn something out of this as well. You know, this isn't just an opportunity to get into Super One. This is an actual chance to take skills, apply them, and work them into other disciplines of racing, and even possibly kart racing in real life. You know, this is a learning opportunity for these guys. This is a serious opportunity.
I love the fact that Alex Skinner on the stream has said, you could have got Lando into GPVWC or something. You don't think I haven't had that conversation with him already? It is something we're talking about. You never know. That could happen as well. But yes, in a week or so's time, who knows if his race plan allows him to. He definitely has an entry into the grid, and he has been egged on by a few people, including Harrison Scott. Come on, Nando, come and race with us. You know you want to. He does do an awful lot in the world of iRacing and various other disciplines of sim racing as well. But we are now approaching practice, so we'll get to see the junior and senior X30 drivers out on the circuit for the first time. And guess what? The first one out on circuit is going to be Harrison Scott. No surprises at all. He comes straight out onto the circuit. The European Formula 3 Open champion for 2017 and double McLaren Autosport Young Driver Award nominee. Straight out onto the circuit, and this is just another evening in as far as Harrison Scott is concerned. He loves his racing, he loves his sim racing, but this is a whole new challenge for him.
Yeah, it is. These senior X30 cars, very, very quick as well, faster than the Cadets cars that preceded them as well, so it is going to be a very, very interesting affair to see how the drivers handle these. Of course, will be going faster than the Cadets in a straight line. We saw them get to about 62 miles an hour, the Cadet car these can surpass that beyond. So much harder to drive. Harrison Scott gets a big slide out. You see, that's how difficult he is. You almost have to drive them like I almost have to throw them into the corners, slide them round. That's the fastest way to drive these. They're that quick.
Oh,
fact,
and Harrison Scott has actually binned it. Harrison Scott has binned it.
He's just proven everybody's human and that these are difficult.
This is the thing, you're pushing so far on the limit, and the thing is, in real karting, you can get that sensation when you put the kart on the curbs. And with this kart, you really should be pushing the curbs. You should be riding them to get the most speed out of it. But the thing is, as a racing driver, Harrison Scott in real life would not have binned it there, because you get that sensation, you know how to cross it up. With this sim, you don't quite get that same sensation. You don't get the G-force. You don't get that shock through the spine that you get as a racing driver when you go over a curb. So he doesn't quite know how to respond to it. So he bins it where in normal life he wouldn't have binned it there.
Yeah, he wouldn't have dropped it there, and because it's not quite the same. But he'll learn as well. How to work when you don't have that. Through doing this race, and maybe come out better for it. Who knows?
It's fantastic to watch as well. I mean, I've been running around this circuit in this kart over the course of the morning. I spent about an hour and a half on this morning trying to get some good lap times in. And it really is difficult because you have to be very patient with this. In a normal kart, and particularly with these guys, you want to throw it in pretty quickly. Oh, my pride has just been completely dented. I've just looked at the times that Brandon Williams is setting straight away. He's just come straight out with a 57.9. There's my answer. I thought a 59.8 might be competitive. It clearly isn't, because I'm nowhere near Brandon Williams' time. A 57.9, he bumped straight in. Matthew Higgins on a 58.6. Malcolm Smith on a 59.0. I'm interested in this session, actually, to see where I would have placed.
Oh, we'll see in a short while, I think. As the session comes to an end, as it continues, and the times begin to fall further. But, yeah, we're going to see how you would have fared. But, it's going to be interesting to see what the fastest time is going to be, because we've already blown the cadet times out of the water. We're into the sub-minutes here, so we're looking at the race ahead, and it's not going to be a very long race, is it? I mean, it's a 15-lap race compared to the 12 that the cadets did. We're going to be talking 12 minutes again. More laps in less time. These are quick karts.
Yeah, they really are particularly quick, and they're pushing them right to the limit. You need to use a lot of curb on the exit with these particular karts. Whoa, Craig Kilner gets out of the way. Not quite what he meant to do with Harrison Scott. And yeah, Harrison Scott's first lap out of the blocks is a second and a half quicker than I managed after an hour and a half. That just shows you I'm no professional racing driver. Harrison Scott is, and he loves using this sim. I've been talking to him about it a lot over the course of the winter. And I said to him, is it genuine? Are you just going through the motions? He went, no, I really love this sim. I'm absolutely addicted to it. And this is a man who races Formula 3 cars over the course of a season. So, this guy knows what he's doing. He loves his kart racing, and this keeps him sharp. So he's a professional racing drivers are using this to stay fresh.
They are, yeah, and obviously it's working if he's doing this well in the sim and then going out and applying it in real life too. And getting a couple more people in the server now as well for these combined junior-senior races that are coming up. And yeah, good-looking things from the field so far as well. Times in the top 3 are within a second of each other, so that's pretty good.
James Lowther comes out of the pits. He's going to be another one to watch for this one as well. A very talented kart racer in his own right. As Scott comes across the line, 53 thousandths of a second off Brandon Williams' best time of a 57.876. Matthew Higgins is now third ahead of Malcolm Smith, Jamie Jakins, and then we have Lucas Ellingham in the top 6 from Craig Kilner, Aaron Walker, Luca Bennist, and then we have Declan Russell. Will Chadwick in 11th at the moment, although Declan Russell, Will Chadwick, Alex Everett, Adam Farmer and James Lowther have yet to set times, although they should do over the course of the next few minutes or so. This is basically a test run, a demo run for SoBEC in its first official race, the Winter Cup, but it sets us up for the first round of the championship in 7 days' time. For those of you just joining us, hello, and welcome to the first ever running of a SoBEC live stream, the Super 1 British Esports Championship. This is the Winter Cup. We've just witnessed the Cadet race, which was taken by Sam Shaw in front of Josh Erfan, and a fantastic battle it was all the way through. Harrison Scott coming across the line and gets the new fastest time of 57.386. He is going to be one to watch in this. For my money, there is 3 drivers in the battle for this victory. That is Harrison Scott, Brandon Williams, and I think Matthew Higgins, although Malcolm Smith is a lot closer to him than I thought he was going to be, and Will Chadwick's pace looks pretty strong as well. This is basically going to be about how focused Harrison Scott and Brandon Williams can be at the front. The others are going to be a lot closer than they want them to be.
Yeah, they are. This is going to be very, very closely run, and going to be interesting to see how it goes for sure for these drivers and teams, and well, not necessarily teams, but prospective teams in the future maybe, who might be watching and thinking, oh, this one's one to watch, you know?
I'm liking the camera angle that we've got here.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. That I did not expect that. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. I mean, the camera angle we got, it just kind of shows you the level of detail with the detail that goes into the developing of the kart model, which is probably the most impressive bit of this simulator. I mean, we look at the detailed modelling of all of the kart circuits. The guys behind this have been to a lot of the actual circuits. They've made sure it all works well. But you can see the level of detail in the modelling. Those who are into their kart racing will look at these and go, wow, they really do look like karts at this particular level. And having been hung around X30s for the last 6 weeks or so, on and off, these things do genuinely look and feel the part. To drive them, they really do have that same sensation. So it is as close to kart racing. And I've looked at a few other kart sims in the past. I've tried quite a few different renditions of karting on simulators, and to be fair, I have not found one as close to the real thing as this. You're sitting there thinking £400 for the software is a lot, but nothing feels genuinely as close to the world of karting as this does. And let's not forget, KartSim is providing all of the kart circuits that are on the Super 1 calendar, but there are developers out there doing other circuits around Europe as well. You've got things like the Circuito Ricardo Tomo, Lucas Cadet, sorry, in Valencia. I said Ricardo Tomo because that's the race circuit down the road, not the kart circuit. The Cartodromo Lucas Guerrero has been made on R-Factor 2, so you can get used to Valencia in these very karts. I'm fairly sure the same has been done for things like Genk, for Salbris, for Kristianstad, for Castelletto. There's a lot of European karting circuits that have been made, so this sim is also really good to use that software on other karting circuits to learn if you're going into international competition. You know, the reasons for not having this are vastly inappropriate compared to the reasons for having it. You know, there are so many reasons that this is worth possessing if you are a serious racing driver or a serious sim racer. It sounds like a lot, but I promise you, the benefits vastly outweigh the deficits.
Yeah, very much so, and when you're getting this quality software as well, which is so close to the actual karts that you might be driving in real life, why not? Why not?
So we've got quite a few people watching along and recommending other forms of sim racing that are worth watching. And I think Povlias has mentioned VEC. Very true indeed. The Virtual Endurance Championship is a couple of steps up from this. And the great thing about virtual racing, of course, is you don't need to raise hundreds of thousands of pounds of budget and spend a few years in touring cars or tin tops or GTs before you get into it. If you've got a good discipline for these forms of sim racing, then you can move your way up through the ranks. And there are various different disciplines of virtual racing. VEC is one, Tora is one if you have Xboxes. Obviously you've got the Grand Prix Virtual World Championships as well. There are lots of different ways to get into professional competition. For a lot of these guys, this is really their first step into realizing that sim racing competition can actually feed into real world racing. And, you know, some of these guys will have a taste of this and finally get into the idea of things like the iRacing World Championships as well, which is where big prizes and big opportunities in the racing world will follow. We've mentioned, of course, the championship prizes in this. For those who haven't been watching for long, the Cadet champion at the end of the year wins a full season paid for them in terms of registration, entry fees, and all of their tyres purchased for the next year in the actual Super 1 British Karting Championships the following year, so for 2019. At junior level, they get a Ginetta Junior test drive with Douglas Motorsport, so that could see them on the grid in the touring car paddock. And then for senior X30 champion, they will get a test with the Arden Motorsport team in the FIA British Formula 4 Championship. It's absolutely incredible.
It is incredible, just the amount of prizes that are available, as we see, and yeah, just one of these drivers could end up, you know, this could be the start of something, you know, as we say, this could be life-changing, this could be an opportunity that they aren't going to get anywhere else.
So as the practice is getting into the closing stages, it's very close indeed between Harrison Scott and Brandon Williams, 0.059 of a second to be precise. Matthew Higgins has gone for, oh, Harrison, what are you doing with Will Chadwick there? I know it's only practice, but you certainly can't do that in the actual race. Now I wonder, did he spot Will Chadwick and go, right, I'm going to have you? It is only practice, you can't do that in the actual race, of course. And Harrison Scott, obviously a little bit of laddish banter there with Will Chadwick. I would not be surprised if that was the case. But interesting, you know, this is a new challenge for everybody, and they're getting used to this software for the first time. So they're obviously going to have a little bit more experience to deal with at the end of this. But Harrison Scott, Brandon Williams, Matthew Higgins and Will Chadwick all covered by less than a second. We thought it was going to be closer in the junior and senior grid than in the cadets, and we were right.
Yeah, very, very close. About 3.7 seconds between it, and that is really, really close, all things considered. And I think in qualifying it's going to be even closer still. I'm really looking forward to this qualifying session coming around 3.5 minutes.
So who else is in the field at the moment running laps? Well, the entire field this time is only separated by 4 seconds, which is pretty impressive stuff. And for those who are sad enough to ask where would I have placed, well, by my math, I would have been 10th in the rankings at the moment with a 59.81.
That's not bad.
That's all right. I'm okay with that. I'm not far off the pace of James Lowther. I will take that in a billion years. That's absolutely brilliant. I'm not far off James Lowther's pace. I'll happily settle for that, considering how successful James has been in the world of British karting over the years. Harrison Scott is fastest from Brandon Williams. Matthew Higgins in second, 0.6 of a second back. Will Chadwick and Malcolm Smith are within 2 to 3/10 of that pace, so they are very close. Jamie Jakins and Craig Kilner are just over a second. We're talking a whisker here. James Lowther's just gone up to 8th place on a 59.078. Declan Russell has just popped up into the top 10 along with Aaron Walker. Then it is Adam Farmer, so I've just slipped to 12th place. On a 59.759 is Adam Farmer. Then it's Alex Everett, Lucas Ellingham and Luca Benest. So that is the way things stand in the practice session at the moment. The qualifying session itself will get away following practice. They'll only have 8 minutes, of course, of qualifying, but not a bad start to the SoBEC era.
Not bad at all, no, and I think it can only get better from here this Winter Cup, of course, the very first event that we're running in SoBEC history, and well, we got 8 races coming up as well, so 8 full-on races for these drivers to tackle. We'll be champions at the end of it, and as the championship progresses, I think we are just going to see things get better and better. Of course, everything has to start somewhere, and this is here at PFI, the very start, and well, round 1, even the Cadet race has got us hyped for round 1.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got the first round of the official championship for SoBEC 7 days from now, and every time we run an event for the SoBEC, you will know that it's only 2 days before we start running testing at the official championship round of the real Super 1 British Karting Championships. So we have 7 meetings over the course of the 2018 SoBEC, and they are running in conjunction with the official Super 1 British Karting Championships, where there are plenty of championships on offer through the course of the season. They run at cadet level and IAMI and Honda karts. Oh, Harrison, that's not the way to finish off your lap, mate. Dear, oh dear, that was a fast lap until he did that, and got crossed up there on the final turn. But I know Harrison Scott, he'll be quite irritated with himself for that, and will want to try and fight back and get a little bit more speed out of it. But he's not going to get another fast lap in, unfortunately, because we're down to the last 45 seconds or so of the session. So practice is about to finish for the first time in the Super 1 British Esports Championships. But with everything else having Esports Championship, from Formula 1 to World Rallycross to Formula E to the World Endurance Championship to the British Touring Car Championship in various guises, and certainly the MotoGP esports is growing and growing, we felt it was about time that the Super 1 British Karting Championships, arguably the greatest karting championship in the world, that has spawned so many great champions over the years, we felt it deserved the esports treatment as well. And if Lando Norris has got himself a free ride on the grid for this year and he decides to take himself up on it, then that's not a bad person to race against if you get the chance.
Certainly not, and well, we'll see if we actually do get the chance to watch him in action here in the SoBEC series. But for now, at least the drivers in these series' Winter Cup here are going to be looking towards qualifying, of course, a short session, just like in the Cadet series, and not many chances to get a lap in around this short PFI circuit. So going to be a tough session for these drivers.
Over.
As the practice
Exit
session
to the pits.
Officially over, as announced by our race director Jimmy Allison there, and qualifying about to get underway very soon.
Yes, indeed. There has been some pretty incredible performances over the course of the night in the cadets, but now it is time to go straight in with the junior and senior X30 races. It's obviously won by classes, so we'll get to see the drivers battling away. And Alex Skinner has just mentioned my comment just then. MotoGP esports, what? Yes, it does exist. You do have to have a pad, of course. There's no actual simulator for bike racers, although, let's be fair, although it would take up the entire space of your living room, that would be absolutely incredible. But yes, there is a MotoGP esports championship. Go on the MotoGP website. It's there. You can find it. It does exist. But yes, I'm going to try and dig through my memory banks and try and come up with a list of alumni drivers in the Super 1 paddock over the years who have been champion. Because I'm not kidding, Josh. The list of the drivers who have gone on to major motorsport success, having won in Super 1, is a who's who of the best of British motorsport. Just to give you an idea of some of the major names of drivers that have come through: Lewis Hamilton, Anthony Davidson, Jenson Button, David Coulthard, Dario Franchitti, Dan Weldon, all came through the world of Super 1 karting as a youngster. And these guys that we're talking about in the virtual grid are also competitors who want to be on the Super 1 national grid, and some of them are and have been in the past. So these guys are next.
Yep, these are next, and we can't stress enough just how big a life-changing opportunity this is. You know, this is a massive, massive chance for these guys to really go for it, make something, make their career start here. You know, this is a massive opportunity, and, you know, guys like Brandon Williams, who are keeping it so close to guys like Harrison Scott, they're going to be really boosted by this. They're going to think, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, let's point out the fact that Brandon Williams finished that practice session only 14 thousandths of a second slower than the guy who won last year's European Formula 3 Open Championship. It's pretty cool, actually. And Harrison Scott has even mentioned it in the stream chat. Oh, it's close, boys. And these guys have obviously been, they're all mates on social media, these guys. They know each other well. They've grown up together on the karting circuits around Great Britain. And I can tell you, having observed it on social media, these guys have been bigging each other up. They've been ragging each other on social media, going, come on, you're not going to beat me. Yes, you are. No, you're not. All of that. It's absolutely fantastic. And these guys have been absolutely riveting to go. They've been absolutely eager for this. Matthew Higgins and Will Chadwick have been battling away in that practice session as well, actually. It's worth pointing out that the gap between them in practice was 38 thousandths of a second as well. So there's not much to choose between Higgins and Chadwick as well, and they're 6/10 of a second back from Scott and Williams. If those two come together, well, it could be a 3- or 4-way fight for the victory.
It could quite easily be a very, very closely run battle for the victory indeed. And we're going to see exactly how it goes for all intents and purposes as we get the qualifying session underway here in the SoBEC Championship. And we wonder who's going to be first out. My money's on Harrison Scott myself. It just seems like the sort of thing you do, be the first out, you know. But, you know, qualifying about to get underway. We'll see who gets pole.
You took the words right out of my mouth there. If anybody's going to get out of this pit lane first for qualifying, it's going to be Harrison Scott. He is absolutely addicted to his sim racing. He loves
Green
it.
flag for
Absolutely
qualifying.
Loves it. Green flag for qualifying flies for 7 minutes of the session. And oh no, Brandon Williams beats him out. So there we go. Brandon Williams is going to be the first out onto the track, followed by Malcolm Smith. Then it is James Lowther, and the rest of the field fights their way through. For once, it looks as though Harrison Scott is a little bit late out onto the circuit.
Yeah, a little bit. He's one of the last out, actually. I think only Jenkins, Walker and Farmer are on, so I think he must have been listening to it and decided he's going to go last out of spite.
Someone's binned it already. Someone has binned it already at turn 3.
I think that was Aaron Walker.
It looks like Declan Russell has come into the pits as well. So Declan Russell's got damage.
Yeah, one of them two did then.
So Declan Russell, I think, binned it on the way out of turn 3. Very easy to lose it. Oh, and we've got someone else having lost it as well. A couple more wings that have fallen off. That's Will Chadwick. Looks like Chadwick has binned it, and so too Matthew Higgins. The pair of them out on the circuit about the same time. It looks like they tagged each other. Lucas Ellingham has come back into the pits after damage as well. So it just shows you that the cadets have struggled, but the seniors are as well.
Yeah, these are difficult karts. They're more powerful. They've got wider tyres. They're bigger than the cadet counterparts, so they are more difficult. And remember, with that lack of suspension, you know, you hit a bump too hard, you're going flying, and you are not going to be able to get that car, sorted again. These are very difficult to get back sorted with the nature of them being karts. So instability is the last thing you want. You need to be smooth.
And these guys will be a little bit more aggressive over the course of the qualifying laps as well. They'll use a lot more curb than the Cadet karts did earlier on, because the Cadets will want to be a little bit more precise. Just watching Lucas Ellingham on his flying lap, and he's got a proper wobble on the exit of 12. So you really have to attack the curbs a lot more in the Junior and Senior X30 karts, because they'll give you a little bit more grip, but you've got to nail it just right. You can't just throw it in and hope for the best. You have to know exactly when you're blipping the brake, when you're getting back on the power, utilising those curbs and keeping the kart stable. So it's a real knife edge for these guys. I'm going to try and dig up that roll call of drivers in Super 1, because I think it's going to be a nice build-up talking point. I know I have it somewhere in one of my old Super 1 fact files, Josh, so if you can talk us through the qualifying session for a couple of minutes. Brandon Williams at the top on a 57.5. I'm sure it's going to get closer than that, and it's cannon fodder for you. So I'll be back in a moment, but I'm sure you've got plenty to talk about in the next few minutes.
I'm sure. Well, Harrison Scott goes second there, just right behind Williams. 57.78 is Scott's time there. Well, we're 4.8 to the next car down, but I'm sure that will change as the session progresses as well. More and more lap times coming in, and we'll keep you updated on those. Declan Russell goes on a 101.1. Look at Ness, a 109. Must have had an incident on his lap there. And oh, Brandon Williams, speaking of incidents, just lost his front there after collision with the car that went round before. So that fast lap is going to be ruined. This is going to help Harrison Scott actually get a little bit faster, going well wide on the exit of that corner, but using the track nicely. And he's got to be careful here because traffic in the way. And if he's going to get a faster lap here, he's going to need to negotiate it nicely. Got though around the final corner, down the start finish. We'll see what his lap time is going to be. He manages to get himself on pole position provisionally. 57.392 for him now. And Brandon Williams just warming the kart up as he does an outlap. This is going to be a crucial lap for him now with 3 minutes left to go in the session.
You know that it's going to be close till the beginning of the Super 1 British Karting Championships, because it didn't take me long to find my fact file, Josh. I managed to get back earlier than I thought it would. But yes, someone on the stream is just saying, I think it's Chimpus is just writing, is the track slow or is it the drivers? Well, you've got to remember that this is a karting circuit, and it is the correct scale. I mean, about the sort of lap times that they would be pulling in the real world of Super 1, 57s and 58s is about correct in terms of lap times for the actual circuit. So this is about as close as you can get to the full experience of proper British karting. The lap times that were being set last year in qualifying and practice were about 57s and 58s as well. So this is about perfect.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how well it is being made, really. Just if it's that close, if guys like Williams and Scott can get to the top lap times, you know, it's really just... that goes to show just how well this has been modelled, and Williams looking to be on a good lap here, actually.
I'm sorry. I've got to laugh at Saunders 198 comments. There were a couple of slower guys in the way of the fast guys there, and he was calling blue flag. Is this ping pong or karting? I wonder who he was paraphrasing there, Josh. nice comment there.
I can tell you now it is karting. Look at the blooming automobiles we're having driven.
Very good point indeed. Harrison Scott, 0.174 at the top from Brandon Williams. Malcolm Smith in third place ahead of Will Chadwick and Matthew Higgins. Those are the five who will be battling for the win, in my opinion. James Lowther in sixth position, though. Proof of his quality and talent. It's going to be very close with him in the mix as well. Up into fifth place, though, has come Will Chadwick. Oh, and Lucas Ellingham has just binned it out of the final turn on what would have been his first flying lap. He has not got long to get a flying lap in now, Josh.
No, he's not got long now. He's going to have to rush out, and I think he is going to make it, though. I think he's just about going to make it. Get another lap in. Brandon Williams and Harrison Scott really fighting for pole here. Higgins, Smith and Chadwick a bit further behind. Chadwick, though, has gone off, so he's going to have one more lap. And, yeah, Higgins, Smith, Chadwick going to be fighting out for third, I believe, unless one of them makes a major improvement. Otherwise, it will be Scott and Williams battling for pole. And Brandon Williams really wants this, having beaten Harrison Scott in the practice session. But Scott, I think, wants a bit of revenge.
Yeah, I think he's going to, and Scott is going to want to pit Brandon Williams to the pole position time here. Brandon Williams has put more laps around the circuit.
I don't think Williams can improve.
No,
Williams
he can't.
Has gone back into the pit, so this is Scott's if he improves.
Well, Malcolm Smith, Matthew Higgins and Will Chadwick all still have a chance to overhaul him. They were not quite as close as they needed to be in practice, so it's all going to come down to whether they can get the perfect lap in now. The one to watch here is Lucas Ellingham, a very talented kart racer in the real world. In the virtual world, he's actually struggling to get a full lap on the board here. He doesn't quite have the belief in himself around this circuit yet, but this is his only timed lap. This has got to be it. He's tried several times to get a flying lap on the board. He really wants to commit to this. He's working hard. He's using this as a training tool for his full-scale karting career, and it's going to be interesting to see where he emerges, because in terms of his ability, he is top 6 material without any question at all. Whether it's proficiency on the sim that he's got, that's going to be the real test.
Yeah, he's just, you can see he's
qualifying
struggling a little
session
bit
is over.
throughout
You may
as
finish
qualifying
your lap
ends.
and then escape back to the pits.
Obviously, drivers can finish their laps. Brandon Williams has gotten out again, but he's not going to get the complete one, of course. Left the pits too late. Harrison Scott, really a chance to improve here. Matthew Higgins has gone up, actually closer to Scott, but not, I don't think, moved position. Craig Kilner 8th, James Arthur 7th, Adam Farmer 6th at the moment. I'm looking at Lucas Ellingham though, because he needs to set a lap. This is going to be his lap as he comes around the last couple of corners. And what is it going to be for Ellingham as he goes very wide out the last turn? What's the lap going to be for Ellingham? Gets one in, and it's going to be a 1 minute dead, 0.7, so second to last. That is not what he would have wanted.
Well, the first and only time in my entire life I am faster around PF International than Lucas Ellingham. I'm gonna remember that forever. And I'm sure there's going to be a few wry people in the karting world going, yeah, only in the virtual world could you be faster than Lucas Ellingham. And I'm taking that one and banking it. But Harrison Scott is fastest in qualifying, from Brandon Williams in 2nd place. 3rd is Matthew Higgins. 4th, Will Chadwick from Adam Farmer in 5th position. Good lap from him there, 58.4. James Lowther, Craig Kilner, Jamie Jenkins, Alex Everett and Declan Russell in the top 10 from Aaron Walker, Lucas Ellingham and Luca Benest.
Yeah, great qualifying session indeed, and 4.7 seconds separates all of the karts between them. Though look at those top 3, 0.2. We thought it was going to be closer in the seniors and juniors, and it is.
So there's people saying that the track circuit, the track surface is wet. I certainly don't remember wet conditions coming in. Maybe it's just getting those lap times under pressure, because 56s have been set according to a few people, which is true, but it's very easy to get it done under pressure, of course. They've got to work very hard indeed to make it happen. Now, while we've got this pause in between, Josh, I have dug out my list of champions in the Super 1 British Karting Championships over the past, and some of these really do read as a who's who of motor racing. And I was correct. The first ever Super 1 British Karting Champion at Coma Cadet level in 1991 was Jenson Button, so he did do that. 4 years later, Lewis Hamilton got the job done. He was beaten to the title the previous year, though, by Nicky Richardson, who is now one of the race officials at Super 1. Interestingly, there have been a few other drivers who have won the championship who have gone on to big things in the years preceding that. In the years following that, sorry. Alexander Sims was Coma Cadet champion in the year 2000. Oliver Rowland was double Coma Cadet champion in 03 and 04. Alex Gill, who went on to beat Ben Barnicoat and George Russell in his later years. Remember last year's Formula 3 champion, Enem Ahmed, who's now gone on to big things in the European Championship? Well, he was Coma Cadet champion in 2012. Dan Ticktum, Red Bull Junior driver, he was Coma Cadet champion in 2011. Oliver York in 2013 got the job done, and he's now racing in British FIA Formula 4. So there is some amazing champions. There are other big names as well. You know the British Touring Car champion, Ashley Sutton? Well, 11 years ago, 10 years before he won the British Touring Car title, he was Rotax Minimax British champion in the Super 1 British Karting Championships. 3 years later, George Russell, AMG Mercedes F1 test driver. He got the job done. In Rotax Junior Max, there are some big names as well. Oliver Turvey, Formula E driver. He was the champion in 2002. We've got a few others through the list as well. British GT star Ross Gunn. He was champion in 2012 of Rotax Junior Max. Which other big names will you know? Oh, anybody who's interested in their Ginettas will know, of course, about Michael Simpson. Well, he was the Rotax Max champion back in 2009. I'm looking for some other big names that people will know. Well, how about a class that comes in and comes out from time to time? Rotax Max 177, a 3-time champion of that, is now racing in the Renault Clio Cup UK Championship. Lucas Orrock was champion from 2010 to 2011 and 2012. So a lot of great racing from there. Oh, and there's a few more that are worth a mention. Honda Cadet champions. Alexander Albon was the first in 2006. Alexander Albon's gone on to race in GP3 in the past. Harrison Scott, who is on this very grid, in 2007 was champion. 2009, the champion was Jamie Caroline. And while we're mentioning Jamie Caroline, guess who was on the grid and world and British champion at Honda Cadet in 2010? A young lad called Billy Munger. Oh yes, they've all come through Super 1 British karting over the past few years. This is going to be the first ever race, though, in SoBEC for Junior, X30 and Senior. And you're absolutely right, Ben Hamlet, in suggesting that Lando Norris won the O-Plate, because he did. So we've got the drivers on the grid and getting ready for action.
And said action is coming up very soon. We have 4 lights, we have 5 lights. And the Junior Senior race in SoBEC is off and underway. Brandon Williams gets a good start, as does Harrison Scott, as does Janik and Higgins. They're all piling into turn 1. Very good stuff from Williams indeed, as he gets a good start. Kart's in the back as well, trying to move and shake and get position. Scott around the outside, Higgins on the inside, all trying to adjust over position. In fact, Higgins makes a beautiful move into second place there, straight off the bat. Great stuff from Higgins. Williams starting to jump away with it. Will Janik in the third now. Harrison Scott under all sorts of pressure. From the cars behind, we got enough further behind. I think that is Declan Russell, who's gone off and had a bit of an incident further behind. Hayes had a bit of a roundabout there, but Kilner, Chadwick, Jenkins all having to go as well. Walker and Smith in a battle as well. Scott is being pressured from all directions in third. Higgins second. Brandon Williams leading us off as we come round to the 3/4 mark of the first lap. Jamie Jenkins is in all sorts of trouble as well. He's got cars ahead, cars behind. More cars than he can shake a stick at. He's got to deal with. But Jenkins is dealing with it nicely here. Aaron Walker and Malcolm Smith behind, also having a go here on board. We go with Smith as we see the carts come round, finish the first lap. And Smith really going for Walker here. Going to have a nice little crack of the action too. As they come over the crossover into the left-hander. Smith is trying his best. They're just chasing around in the pack at the moment. But Brandon Williams with a good start here.
You've joined a very select club here, Josh Anderson. Your first ever first lap in Super 1. It's very, very exciting stuff. Brandon Williams, half a second ahead of Matthew Higgins, battling away. Smith is going for the move on the inside of Walker, but he's going to lose the position on the undercut if he doesn't move across the cover. He's done that, but now Jenkins is going to get the opportunity to move forward. He gets the move up the inside. Good move there from both Smith and Jenkins as they leave Aaron Walker napping there, and he drops to 8th position. A good battle up front, though, because Harrison Scott in 3rd position has got to try and put pressure on Williams and Higgins.
Yes, he does. Harrison Scott, oh, in fact, gets a bit wide there. He's got to watch himself here as they come round to finish the second lap. But Scott really putting the pressure on Higgins and Williams now. These three have been the breakaway drivers in the first part of this race. They have run away with it from the start. Kilner behind about 3 seconds off. So these three are going to be the ones who are looking for the race immediately. But as he said with the cadets, these guys are going to work with each other rather than work against each other for the start of this race. They're going to race in packs, and it's near the end of the race, near the midsection, going to consider doing moves on each other. But Higgins, Williams and Scott just going to chase each other, get that gap first before they start pushing really hard to go for the lead. Will Chadwick and Malcolm Smith having a battle already. Malcolm Smith has actually gone through, but Will Chadwick around the outside here is going to go for it as well. He's going to try and keep it on. Walker and Jenkins behind as well, also battling it out. We got battles all over the midfield here.
Oh, contact at the back. It's Benest and Farmer. Benest just got loose. Lowther had already dropped back and had an incident of his own, but Luca Benest just losing the back end of the kart on the exit of the first hairpin in the middle section of the sector. And unfortunately, Farmer had nowhere to go. Declan Russell in all sorts of trouble back in 14th.
Yeah, all sorts of trouble going on for Russell now. Didn't get the best of starts, and now this incident as well has not helped his causes here. And Harrison Scott, I'm looking at actually coming out with a bit of traffic now, but dealing with it nicely. Getting through and trying to keep the gap to Higgins and Williams. Needs to try and stay in contention for this race. When does Harrison Scott? And he seems to be doing that at the moment. Though Higgins and Williams still have a gap. Brandon Williams actually starting to run away with it at this point. I think he's found something that Higgins and Scott don't have at this point.
There was some great banter pre-race from Harrison Scott. He just gave a message to his fellow drivers, watch your noses, boys. And it's interesting, Brandon Williams and Matthew Higgins already trying to get away from the 2017 European Formula 3 Open champion and former Super 1 champion, of course, in his cadet days, Harrison Scott. But to see him here in the virtual Super 1 paddock is great stuff. And he's battling away with Williams and Higgins for the victory. Kilner dropping back to 6 seconds deficit now, with Smith in 5th from Chadwick, Jenkins, Walker, Lucas Ellingham in 9th place, so making progress. Then Everett, Farmer, Lowther, Benest and Declan Russell.
Yeah, and Scott really pushing hard here to try and get Higgins at the moment. He's giving it the absolute beans. You can just see all the bumps and that he's going over. This is difficult stuff for any driver, and he'll be feeling that to the force feedback on his wheel as well. Almost like in real life, you know, you'd feel that, although of course, as you rightly say, you have that feeling underneath you of the actual kart. But Scott really pushing hard now. He's working with Higgins at the same time as working against him. He wants to get through, but this is all helping Brandon Williams, who has 1.4 over Higgins.
Well, an interesting question is coming from Chimpers, who's written on the stream. Are those drop-down nose cones? Because, of course, that is one of the big talking points in kart racing, not just in Britain, but worldwide at X30 level and various other categories as well over the last 3 seasons or so. But the FIA ruling is that the karts have to have drop-down nose cones, which basically stops contact, because if your nose cone is out of position, then you get a 5-second penalty. Here in the virtual world, we don't have drop-down nose cones, but what we do have are very sensitive nose cones, so they will fly off if too much impact is made. And up the inside, Harrison Scott goes for broke on Higgins, and they both pirouette around. And, well, has Scott still maintained? He has still maintained his nose cone. I was just about to say, here's the proof of what happens when you have contact. But no, Harrison Scott kept hold of his nose cone. Very good work there from Harrison. But yes, just to return to what we were mentioning, yes, the penalties basically come in when you don't have a nose cone on your car. So some of the guys are going to have bits of... Oh, Lando Norris has just popped up on the stream to mention that he didn't win the O-Plate. Lando, good evening. I hope you're going to be joining us in a week's time, because you've got an entry into the championship, my friend. Anyway, we've got Higgins and Scott battling away for a second position. Higgins still there, just in front of Harrison Scott as the racing continues. Craig Kilner, 4th place from Malcolm Smith, Will Chadwick, Jakins, Walker, Lucas Ellingham making progress in 9th place. Oh, and that's a big moment as we've got a slower car in front of them. That is Benest. So Benest needs to get out of the way. Higgins and Scott battling away. Benest needs to stand aside, and Higgins goes for it, and there's contact, and now he has lost his nose cone. Oh.
A bit of a breakaway though now. Now he has clear air to Williams, who's 6 seconds ahead. That's how much this battling is done for Brandon Williams. He's just flown ahead with all this fighting going on behind. He's been able to take it easy, not have to worry about things, and that has not helped affairs for him. But Malcolm Smith would think otherwise. He's now chasing Kilner for 4th and Higgins for 3rd.
Well, we apologise to viewers for the quick blip in the stream, but we are back running again now. Williams ahead of Scott by 6 seconds, with Higgins dropping back to 3rd position as a result of that little contact. The closest battle on track now is for 4th.
I think I just saw Smith have a bit of a do there. Something happened. I saw carts going off there. Malcolm Smith has dropped behind. And, yep, this battle's going on. That's Jakins and Chadwick, actually, who both go off.
Oh!
And, this is getting a little bit fiery now. It's Chadwick. Oh, dearie me. Watch yourself, lads. Hitting Walker there. And Chadwick through into 6th. This is just getting a little bit fiery now. But battles going on all over the place as lap traffic starts to come into it.
Well, yeah, we were talking about the... we were talking about how the cadets like to run in packs.
And James upside down.
Oh, no.
Somehow James Lauder's upside down in the middle of the track. I don't know how that's happened, but he's going to have to self-right himself or he's out of this race. That would be quite painful in real life, I imagine, but luckily in the simulator, no damage done.
Well, he came together with Farmer. That's what happened. He came into contact with Farmer. They both left the circuit. They went up the grass bank. That's how they lost it, and he tagged the barrier on the far side, and that's what caused the kart to roll over. Now, yes, in real life, he would have been thrown out of the kart at that point. That's a very nasty accident indeed for Lowther, and I have a feeling that might be game over.
Well, he's back going again. He is moving in, but as far as positions are concerned, he's not going to be getting much further, I don't believe. So he will just have to make do and mend for the rest of this race. But, yeah, Williams really running away with things now. He's 6.7 ahead of Scott, who himself is about 3 seconds ahead of Higgins, and a couple of karts behind having battle still. I see Ellingham and Everett in a decent battle at the moment for 9th place, and Alex Everett starting to gain on Lucas Ellingham, who's managed to get some consistency going after the struggles in qualifying. So props to Ellingham, he has managed to find something here.
So Williams leading, Scott 7 seconds behind him, Higgins in 3rd from Smith, Kilner, Chadwick, Walker, Jakins, Ellingham, Everett, Farmer, Lowther, Russell and Benest. And for Brandon Williams, this is now just about hanging on to things with a 7.3 second advantage here it's not going to be easy for him to be caught by the guys behind. We were talking a little bit earlier, just before all that carnage kicked off, about how the cadets will run in packs and disappear and then start battling. Well, the seniors is a little bit different from that, not in real life, but in the sims. You've got to remember these guys are in this for the banter and the fun of it when they're at a certain point in their careers. Certainly Harrison Scott is in this to gain a little bit of extra fun. And I think a lot of the front runners will be basically using this as good playful banter. But some of them are actually going to be doing this to really test their powers and their abilities to see what they can actually get out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see just when drivers are going to start to battle as the racing progresses.
Yeah, Chadwick and Walker, speaking of battles, really starting to get close at the moment, chopping and changing with each other. Really gunning for each other here on Chadwick and Walker. 6 and 7, of course. And, oh, Walker goes very wide there. That's going to cost him a second or two. And, yeah, he's slow on the exit of that turn, so he's gone well off there. That's going to let Chadwick right back into affairs and get him back into this race. Brandon Williams, though, on lap 11 of 15 and really running away with this race. He has seriously impressed me in this race, Jake, as I think Luca Manest really struggling as well.
Yes, indeed. Manest has not really got the hang of things as yet. He has got time to develop it as the season goes on, of course, but this is obviously going to be a bit of a difficult one. As when you have one big incident, you want to keep going because obviously you've got yourself in there. You never know what's going to happen next. So you just keep on battling, but it is a difficult one as far as he's concerned. With Harrison Scott 8 seconds down the road from Brandon Williams, though, he's going to be quite frustrated that he's not been able to stay with him because Williams has now only got 4 laps to go before his race is done.
Yeah, only got 4 laps, and it's going to be the calmest 4 laps of his life, hopefully. He's not going to push too hard, but he has to watch out for traffic. I see, in fact, a car in front of him.
Ah, that's James Lowther. Lowther's got out of the way. See, James Lowther is a professional. He knows what he's doing. He's got himself well clear there. He's trying to get to know the kart and know the circuit a little bit more. He saw that Brandon Williams was coming. James Lowther is he's no fool. He knows what's going on here. And he saw Brandon Williams behind him and went, fine, I'll just follow you because you've got used to this better than I have. It's a very different cry from when Williams and Lowther are usually racing together. You never really see Lowther getting lapped by Williams in real life. They're usually battling with each other. So very interesting to see Lowther getting lapped by Brandon Williams. I'm not sure he's going to live this one down for a while.
Yeah, probably not. And Adam Farmer won't be able to live it down if Alex Everett gets through as well. This is the battle for 10th going on at the moment. Farmer holding nicely, but Everett applying the pressure like you would to a thing that's leaking. And, well, Adam Farmer leaking time to Adam Everett at the moment. And you can see just how close Everett is getting as we've got a car off behind the two of them. And, oh, that is Russell actually rejoining. Everett's going to have to get through here. Russell, though, on the inside. It's going to make it difficult for Everett. He's going to get held up slightly, balked by Declan Russell. And Everett's going to want to get through. This is helping Farmer, who's now chasing Lucas Ellingham.
The thing is, the lap times between Everett and Russell, when they're in the straight and narrow, are not too far away from each other. So Everett is definitely going to get held up here by Russell unless he gets out of the way.
In fact, and Ellingham gets caught up in that. Everett wants to go around all of them.
Everett got caught in a spin.
Oh, he gets caught up there. That's gone terribly wrong. That and oh dearie me, Luca Molest involved in another incident. That is not good for him as well. Really has been a tough race for Benest, and you know, he's been trying his hardest, but it just has not seemed to go his way this race. It has not gone how he would have wanted it to, and I'm sure he's going to be thinking hard and long about how we can improve for the next races coming up and how we can move on from this, because we don't like to see it happen, do we, Jake?
No, indeed. Well, 5th position is not quite done yet, I noticed. We've got 2 to go. And Craig Kilner has still got a couple of seconds on Will Chadwick and Aaron Walker. Walker is a lot closer to Chadwick than Chadwick would like him to be at the moment, especially going into these last couple of laps. He might get an opportunity to go for it. Walker is going to get quite hungry quite quickly.
Yeah, Walker is going to get quite hungry quite quickly. If he can catch up to Will Chadwick here, he is going to be very, very interested in this race that he will be having for the position. And I would be very surprised if he didn't go for it with the rate he's getting on Chadwick here. I think he can have a good crack of the whip here. And he could certainly, most certainly, be close in contention. But Brandon Williams has been the star of this race for sure, Jake. He's coming around the last couple of corners now. He has dominated it. Well, he's not the last couple of corners. He's halfway through. But he's really dominated this race, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been able to use the pace that we saw from practice and qualifying. He's kept himself a good rhythm. He's built a nice enough advantage that he doesn't have too much pressure on his shoulders. He is in command. He's got himself up to the front. And it's not going to be long now before we get our second X30 champion in the Winter Cup in our first night of running in SoBEC. Brandon Williams completes what has been a magnificent display. He's gone absolutely everything in command and in control as he comes through for the final couple of corners and crosses the line. Brandon Williams is the SoBEC Senior X30 Winter Cup champion and a long, long way ahead of Harrison Scott, who I think lost it on the last lap.
Scott's still going, yeah, but he's third. He's dropped. I think Higgins has gone in front. Scott is not going to be happy about that. But the podium still for Harrison Scott. Martin Smith's going to be fourth by looks of it. Kellner fifth, Chadwick sixth, but Walker pushing him all the way here. He's not going to get this sixth place easily as well, Chadwick, as they come around the final couple of corners. I think Will probably get this position done, and he has done. Walker seventh, Jenkins is going to be eighth, Farmer ninth, Ellingham and Everett still battling it out for 10th place here. This is so close. Has there been contact in Russell?
Oh!
Oh, Russell with the rejoin there. That has not helped affairs. And it's punted them both off. Everett and Ellingham are not going to swap positions though. Still the same, 10th and 11th. James Lowe, Declan Russell will finish 13th. And S comes home 14th.
After the line, Ellingham went straight on at the first corner, went grass cutting. It looked like he was entering the British Lawnmower Championships, and he came back on, lost the car, and guess who he hit? He hit Everett. Just ridiculous.
Dear me. Well,
that's Super One banter right there. That's banter right there.
What a crazy race. But Brandon Williams, as you rightly say, Jake, champion of the Winter Cup, and he will be very proud of that. He's beaten Harrison Scott in the qualifying practice session. Scott got him back in the actual qualifying, but Williams got it in the race. And that's what matters ultimately. Brandon Williams, the champion, and well deserved indeed. And well, Harrison Scott made sure, as he said before the race, everyone did watch the nose. He pushed everyone all the way, pushed Higgins all the way. Couldn't quite get second in the end, but still well played from the Formula 2 driver.
Absolutely. Fantastic work. And we now have our two ultimate winners with Sam Shaw taking the victory in the cadets class, and in the junior and senior X30 race, Brandon Williams comes up on top. A fantastic result and a great bit of racing from the first ever running of Super One British Esports Championship Racing. That was our Winter Cup, our non-championship event. The first round of the actual championship is taking place 10 days? 7 days from now. It's the actual Super One that starts 10 days from now. 7 days from now, we're doing exactly the same thing again, and it's going to be the first round of the 2018 SoBEC Super One British Esports Championships, and it's taking place exactly 7 days from now. Same format, hopefully a few more drivers on the grid by then as well. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic battle in the 2018 season. Just got confirmation on your screens now as well. Brandon Williams from Matthew Higgins, Harrison Scott, Malcolm Smith and Craig Kellner. And that is a great one-off performance there from the Winter Cup in both of the classes. Josh, we should wrap up by saying a fantastic start to the season.
Yeah, if the rest of the season's going to be anything like this, I'm super stoked. I can't wait for next Wednesday. I'm already booking it out, making sure I've got everything ready, and I'm so ready for the first round of this championship and all 7 rounds that we're going to have. And I think this is going to be one of the best esports championships I've ever commentated on. Just looking at it, it's something different. It's something completely brilliant, and I would be absolutely incensed if you weren't watching it next week.
Fantastic stuff. And for me, of course, it gives me double the Super One work this year because I get to do the real thing on television and then also do the esports as well the Wednesday before. Josh Anderson, welcome to Super One. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I think you've got a good home here, mate.
I don't want to leave.
Good. We won't ask you to. Fantastic stuff. If you've enjoyed the stream at home, wherever you are watching, and if you've enjoyed the racing as well, thanks very much indeed from all of us here. We're going to do the same thing again, same time, same place, 7 days from now on the PF International Circuit in Lincolnshire, here on the KartSim Limited software. If you're interested, all you have to do is find KartSim on Facebook, and you can get all of the details for how to participate from there. From all of us here, from Josh Anderson, from myself, Jake Sanson, and all of us watching, thank you very much indeed. A big thanks as well to Jimmy Allison and the Sim Racing Club team as well for their assistance on the stream as well. A massive thank you, and we'll see you all again in 7 days' time for more from SoBEC. From all of us here, see you in a week.